Welcome to Love and Murder. I'm your host, Char. I'll be joined by host Ky. In today's episode, it's Queen of De-Nile. Meet our subject, Enchanting, seductress, a modern-day Nefertiti. The Nile, the River Nile, runs through her blood, but the ancestors wouldn't approve. In murder that ends in a feast of blood. Intrigued? Of course you are. Stay tuned. It's Love and Murder.
Good evening, everyone. Good Lord, I started off on a horrible note. Welcome to a new episode of Love and Murder. I am your host, Ky, along with the illustrious Char, and we are bringing you true crime stories to your ear holes. Yes, I said your ear holes every week. And Love and Murder, if y'all don't know, if this is the first time y'all are listening to us, Love and Murder is a true crime podcast bringing you relationship crime gone terribly wrong. And when I say terribly wrong, Char, how wrong do I mean?
Dead wrong, Ky. Dead wrong.
Yes, dead wrong. So instead of you, I don't know, breaking up amicably or seeking help like a therapist, y'all go left.
Way left.
Way
off
left.
The cliff. Off the cliff, right? Oh my gosh, some of these stories. But stay tuned.
So that is what our show is about, Love and Murder. So we're just going to go through the intro real quick and we're going to get right into the story. So definitely, wherever you like to hear your podcasts, more than likely, Love and Murder is there. Wherever you get your podcasts, Love and Murder is there.
Anywhere, everywhere.
Yeah. We're on Stitcher. We're on Apple Podcasts. We are actually on Amazon Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts.
Super cool. I didn't know. I think that's a new addition, isn't it, for Amazon, for those that love Amazon? I thought that was so exciting. Okay, great. Go on.
It is a new edition, and we are there. So wherever
pretty
you get your
podcast,
definitely. Wherever you get your podcast, wherever you want to listen to your podcast, we're there. Just search Love and Murder. Or actually, the easiest way to find out where we are is to go to our website, www.murderandlove.com. So that's basically Love and Murder backwards, murderandlove.com. And you'll just be able to easily click on any link where you prefer to get your podcast. Also, follow us on social media. We won't say the links in the beginning of the episode. We'll have it at the end of the episode, and you can look in our show notes below for all our social media links. And if you want to hear crazy, hilarious, appealing, entertaining bonus episodes, our bonus episodes are the craziest true crime stories we could find. It's not necessarily relationship crime, just crazy true crime. So like we had one where this guy decided like he was going to roast up his neighbor's heart with some potatoes and feed it to his family. So
with gravy.
Crazy crime. Yeah. We also have relationship content. So I think we're about to have a raid or something. Can you hear that noise?
No. What does that mean, a raid? Oh my gosh, I hear it.
You hear it?
No, you're like sirens or something.
I think
What's
it's
happening.
No, when I lived in Germany, that did mean a bomb threat. Over here in the States, it just means like somebody's having a fire and the fire truck's coming out. So.
Oh, okay.
Whenever I hear it, I think Germany automatically.
Okay, I would literally have PTSD flashback instantly, even as a kid. Because weren't you a kid when you were living over there in Germany?
Yeah, but I wasn't scared. It's not like, I mean, I guess it's not like Palestine, like we're not actually getting bombed, but it was in the middle of the Gulf War that we were over there. So, they really
just kind of a prep. So that everyone knows what to do just in case this ever happened,
So we had those bomb threat sirens go off, and if we were in school, we had to leave school.
Wow.
We had to stand outside the school while the cops went through the school bit by bit, looking to see if there were any bombs or just whatever. So it's not PTSD.
Like that's a normal day, though. That's not a normal day for a child or anyone. That's just not normal.
I guess it didn't bother me because it's not like there was actually a bomb.
Okay.
I
Okay.
guess if it actually happened, then I was like, oh my God, no. But, yeah, it's
You
just
didn't have a
normal.
clue anyway, Kai. You were probably twiddling your fingers, just
It
talking to
was
your
just
friends.
we
Giggity
got out
jelly
of
beans,
school.
like just, what kids do.
Yeah,
Just,
we got out of school and we sat in front of the school and talked. And I remember it
yeah,
was like in Germany, sometimes it was like really cold, so your feet would freeze and then you'd go back
yeah.
in school or they'd send you home and your feet are trying to defrost and stuff like that. So, no, I don't have PTSD from it, but it's just like every time I hear it, I'm just like, uh
Just have a
oh.
mo- you just have a
Yeah,
woo-saw moment. Okay, I'm okay now.
yeah.
I'm okay
So,
now.
but anyways,
Wow.
apologize, listeners. I know we're giving you great content right now, but
We
anyways.
are, because I'm thinking of my crazy life, and I'm thinking we might have to have an episode, or no, we might have to have a segment just about your experiences. Germany would be a good story.
I don't think my life is that interesting. But anyways, what I was in the middle of saying, our bonus episodes are the craziest true crime stories that you could have heard. We give you relationship content, so just like relationship Q&As or just like funny little relationship related episodes. And on the cherry on top of the icing is Char's crazy true life stories. So like true life stories in which you're just like, does this really happen to a person? Like I'm serious. So if you want to listen to these extra episodes, then visit us on patreon.com/love and murder and become a subscriber of $3 and above. Now, if you've listened to our show before, or right after this show, you're like, hey, this is the first time listening to these crazy people, and you know what? I kind of dig them. Then please go to Apple Podcasts and hit that purple button and give us 5 stars. You can say whatever you want in the description. It helps bring us up in the charts so that other listeners can easily find our podcast, and we will be so grateful to you. Now, that's all I got for you for the intro. Now we're going to dive into this crazy murder story with this siren blaring in the background that I know you could hear loud and clear. Anyways, tonight we are going to be talking about an Egyptian model, and her name is Omaima Nelson. And this is a story for the books. When I was researching this, I was like, wow. So, Omaima Nelson was born in 1968 in the southeastern part of Egypt, which Egypt is in Africa, because some people think it's in the Middle East or whatever. But
thank you for clarifying that. I do appreciate that, because it's such a huge argument and it's so annoying. So thank you so much for just pointing that out.
Well, because it has a huge stigma on it, so nobody wants to be related to Africans.
Right.
Because we could go back in history and go through all of this.
But we won't.
But Egypt, no matter what anybody says, is literally on the continent of Africa. It is not Middle Eastern. It is African. So if you're from Egypt, you're African. But anyways, I digress. She was born in a southern village in Egypt. When I was researching it, I couldn't find much about her childhood, except that she was the victim of abuse.
Oh my goodness.
She was raised with her mom and her dad. But, usually that sounds good. Like, oh, you have your mom and dad in the picture. Your dad, didn't just go get smokes and never came back. Or, he didn't cheat on your mom, or I don't know, your mom.
On your mom.
Or, you would think this if you hear, oh yeah, my mom and dad, I was raised with them. But she describes her dad as a very brutal man. And when I say brutal, I mean he abused both her and her mom with rape, with physical abuse, with rape. She describes it as different types of tortures her dad would do. And he also wanted her to undergo female circumcision. Now, we're not going to go into what female circumcision is on this radio show, but if you want to find out more about it, just look up female circumcision and it'll tell you more about that. What Omaima said about it was she said that circumcision actually made sex very painful for her and very uncomfortable. But as we continue on in the story, we're going to find out that that didn't actually stop her from using sex to get what she wanted. So later on, so there's not really a date, but her mom ended up leaving her father. I know it was kind of earlier on in Omaima's life, but it didn't really give a date. So her mom left her father, but keep in mind, when they were with their father, they were poor. But now that they're not with the father, they were, they were poor with a cape on it, which means they were super poor.
Oh, yeah, because you don't have the support of the other,
the
breadwinner
other
or parent.
he
Yeah.
probably was the only one working at the time.
Right.
Yeah. So would you rather, okay, how would I put this question? Would you rather be poor would you rather be well off in terms of financially and abused? And I know this is going to sound like a stupid question. I'm probably going to get like lit up in the social media on this, but would you rather be well off and abused or really poor and away from the abuse?
So listeners, think about this before you answer to yourself, or you please definitely and just go to the comments and share with us. We'd love to hear what you think. But I'm going to go with safe and poor. Was that kind of like, is that kind
No,
of?
I mean, I agree with you. I'd rather be poor, even if it's super poor,
Like
but
super
not
poor?
abused.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because you
It's
could
safe.
always work your way out of being poor. Like this one guy, he was homeless with his teenage son. I just read about it. He was homeless with his teenage son, and now he's like a YouTube star where big stars come and interview on his website and everything like that. So
Okay.
you could always work your way out of being poor. Now,
You can actually,
being
but you can't
being
necessarily,
abused,
change
you
the abuse.
can, you can leave the abusive area or abusive relationship, but how do you know you're not going to get killed before you leave? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You might be planning on leaving, and that abuse might go that one step too far that day,
That's the
and
risk
that
that
was
you
it.
take.
So yeah, definitely I agree with you. I'd rather be super poor and not abused. So
Yeah. Freedom.
yeah. So because they're now uber poor, they live in a slum city in Cairo called the City of the Dead. And the
Oh, I've
reason,
heard of that. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
oh really? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
never heard of it, but the reason
Mhm.
for the name of this shanty town really is because it's in a graveyard.
Yep.
And the shanties are like little houses built out of pieces of metal and cardboard and stuff. So
Reps.
so the shanties are actually built in between the gravestones. Now, my question to you and our listeners is like, would you ever live in a graveyard?
Well, I mean, okay. So, Kai, in the general sense of us being in America, we have a stigma about graveyards. There's plenty of scary films that are that are developed around, the graveyards in that environment because they know it promotes a certain feeling. But we have to think about culturally. If you're in another part of the world where this is almost it, well, in some parts of the world, it's an honor to lie next to your dead loved ones. So it's not like, oh, that's so scary. But I definitely looked at this entire story or this history of this and just, how they live. And for me personally, it would be strange and creepy. But for them, again, it's kind of an honor. And you might even have your dead relative lying there in your home, in some cases next to you. And it's just fine. But the graveyard was, hey, they had nowhere else to go. And they literally, I think what happened was when I was watching this story, it's kind of like it wasn't unusual to have your relative, your immediate family that died live next to you in your home anyway. Like, literally next to your bed. So eventually, because they realized a graveyard has lots of space, in a sense. I guess one person just decided, hey, let's just live in between the tombstones, so to speak. But no, anyway, I think that I wouldn't do it, but I get, culturally it's something that seemed to just catch on for them. And that's pretty much what it was. But it does promote disease. Does that make sense? And it's not sanitary, and it's just there's a whole lot of other that goes along with it, unfortunately. But it's growing though. It's not like it's going to stop. The City of the Dead is, it's just there. It's not going anywhere. This is what they do, and it's not, I mean, goodness, wow.
Okay, well, so that was the longest thing to get to an answer. Good Lord.
Well, no, but here's the thing. But that's not the only city of the dead, though. They have one in Brazil. They have some in other areas of the world. This particular one has its own history, and I think it's like Dar El Mar or something. It's some area there. But anyway, yeah. So what were you saying?
I was just gonna say, well, me personally, and maybe it's because I don't really think it's because of